So now that we've seen the majority of the free agent signings already, yes, there still will be a couple. There's still some pretty good guys on the board, but for the most part, we've saw, the majority of the signings already go down. And in today's video, I want to talk about 5 NHL free agent signings that could turn out to be steals. And then tomorrow, I think I'm going to do a video on 5 NHL free agent signings that teams will probably regret. So, just kind of give you guys my thoughts on some of the contracts. And in the comment section of this video, make sure to let me know if there's any contract that you want to hear my thoughts on, because I didn't end up doing the recap today. I'm probably going to do that at a later date when we see where all the other guys go, like Jake Gardner and stuff like that. So without further ado, let's jump right into this video. Starting off the video with Robin Lehner, newly acquired by the Chicago Blackhawks. He signed for a 1-year, $5 million contract, and last year he was arguably one of the best goalies in the entire NHL, and it really blows my mind that him and the New York Islanders didn't come to an agreement. Now New York signed, I believe, Semyon Varlamov for that 4-year contract, and that's kind of risky. I'm not quite sure how confident they should be in that, but I'm really pumped to see how Robin Lehner plays for the Chicago Blackhawks, because what was really the downfall of the Blackhawks over the past 2 years, it was goaltending and partly the defense, but mostly goaltending. And they had a really good offense. It was just they couldn't keep pucks out of their net. And now if Robin Lehner can even play somewhat like what he played last season, Chicago has the potential to be a bounce back team and potentially compete for a playoff spot. So I think Blackhawks fans should be super pumped about this signing. He's a 27-year-old goaltender as well, so if he likes it there and has a good season, you can lock him up long term, and he'll still only be around 28 years old, and for a goaltender, that is pretty young. Robin Lehner has played in 265 career games, 97 wins, 110 losses, and 40 overtime losses or ties, a .918 save percentage, and a 2.69 goals against on the career. And remember, the most of his games and all of his losses pretty much came with the Buffalo Sabres, and he was still relatively solid there. I mean, he has a good career goals against and save percentage playing for a very bad Buffalo team for the majority of the time, and that's why I really don't think he ever got a fair chance. Then obviously last year we saw him playing on a relatively good team, and he was one of the best goaltenders in the entire league. This past season, 46 games played, 25 wins, 13 losses, 5 overtime losses, a .930 save percentage, and a 2.13 goals against. And if he can put up those numbers for the Chicago Blackhawks, I really do believe that they can be a scary team, with bounce back seasons from Duncan Keith and Brent Seabrook, and majority of their core guys staying healthy. I think Blackhawks fans should be super pumped about this signing, and like I said, if he likes it there and has a good season, there is the potential that next summer Chicago can lock him up long term, and then there you have your starting goaltender for the future. Next up, we actually have a restricted free agent signing, and that is Timo Meier from the San Jose Sharks. And this isn't an unrestricted free agent, so no one could have just went out there and got him, but I think San Jose really got Timo Meier on a very, very team-friendly contract. He had an amazing season, and I think he has a really bright future, and I think it was really important for them to bring him back, especially considering Joe Pavelski is now a member of the Dallas Stars, and Timo Meier is probably going to play a bigger role with the team next year than he did this past season, and I can honestly see his stats just increasing year after year. His new contract is a 4-year, $6 million annual average deal, and for Timo Meier, a guy who had 66 points last year, a 30-goal scorer for someone who's just 22, I think that is a very, very good contract. Yes, I'm sure San Jose would have just loved him to, be locked up for like the next 8 years, but still, having him for 4 years at $6 million, in 2 years, this could be one of the better contracts in the entire NHL. For a team that lost, Jonas Donskoy, Joe Pavelski, Gustav Nyquist, it really was important for them to, get him locked up and bring him back, as he will be, one of the focal points of their offense, and I think they did a fantastic job at that. And, on just a $6 million average, that still leaves you some flexibility if you want to do some things at the trade deadline or even next offseason. So I just think the San Jose Sharks organization and especially their fans should be pretty pumped about this deal. Timo Meier has played in 193 career games, 54 goals, and 54 assists for 108 points. And obviously this past season, like I said, had a breakout year, 78 games played, 30 goals, and 36 assists for 66 points. I think Timo Meier has the potential, with his size, speed, and skill to be a 40-goal scorer in the NHL, especially if he is playing with talented guys like he is in San Jose, with people like Erik Karlsson and Brent Burns, outletting the puck to him going through the neutral zone. I just think there's a really bright future for Timo Meier, and I definitely think San Jose got a bargain with this contract. Next up, we have Alex Chiasson from the Edmonton Oilers, and in my opinion, after he had 22 goals last year and, heading into unrestricted free agency, I thought he was about to get overpaid, and I think it was going to be Edmonton Edmonton that was the one to do it, but in my opinion, they got him on a really team-friendly contract, especially if he is able to replicate that and be a 20-goal scorer over these 2 years. That is something Edmonton desperately needs, and I think bringing him back was a smart move, especially on a cap hit of just $2.15 million for the next 2 years. So I think Oilers fans should be pretty pumped about this because, like I said, I honestly thought he was going to get overpaid, after having a career year in his contract year. That's usually how it goes, but to my surprise, Edmonton got him on a pretty team-friendly deal. He's a 28-year-old winger, has played in 454 career games, 81 goals and 81 assists for 162 points. He's bounced around the league a lot, and I think if he can, stay is at around 20 goals, maybe not even be a 20-goal scorer, but like 18 to 20 and be up there around 35 points, I think he could be a valuable piece to this team because this is the team that struggles to score behind Connor McDavid, Nugent Hopkins, and Leon Draisaitl and those guys, and they really need help on the wing. There's rumors that Edmonton want to acquire another scoring winger through trade, so we're going to have to wait and see, how that plays out this offseason, but I think it really was a smart move by Ken Holland to bring back Alex Chiasson, because if he can replicate this, then it really would help out taking some pressure off of Draisaitl and obviously Connor McDavid. So 73 games played last year, 22 goals, 16 assists, 38 points, and if he can do that again at a $2.15 million cap hit, I think a lot of people will be praising Edmonton for this contract. And, not the biggest name player, but definitely could be one of the smarter moves this offseason if he does pan out and do again next year what he did this past season. Next up, we have Brandon Pirri re-signing with the Vegas Golden Knights, and a lot of people may be like, what? How is this going to be, a good contract? Well, Brandon Pirri played very well in the limited time he got in the NHL last season, and if he can replicate that, then this will be a very, very good contract for the Vegas Golden Knights, a team that is cap strapped, and getting a guy at $775K, like the league minimum for 2 years, and if he can do that in your bottom six and give you some scoring depth, then that is a win for you, and that is a very solid contract. He's a 28-year-old centerman, can play the wing as well. Like I said, his new contract, 2 years, $775,000 annual average. His career stats, he's played in 259 games, has 72 goals and 47 assists for 119 points. This past season played in 31 NHL games and had 12 goals and 6 assists for 18 points. And I definitely think, like I said, a team that is cap strapped and had to get rid of some of their depth, unload some of that cap. A guy like Brandon Pirri can come in and play a pretty prominent role for them in the bottom six. He played 29 games in the American Hockey League with the Chicago Wolves last season, and he had 42 points in those 29 games, so he definitely can score and provide some scoring depth for this Vegas team when they really need it, because like I said, they did have to give away, basically for free a lot of their depth, and then they let Bellemare walk in free agency, and he was a pretty significant part of their team for the first 2 years of the franchise, but I don't really think they're in that bad of a position in terms of their depth, especially after this signing, and I know a lot of people might think it doesn't really mean anything now, but if he can play a prominent bottom six role for them next year, then this could be a really, really smart move, especially like league minimum for 2 years, and then you factor in a guy like Cody Glass who could come up and, play a prominent role for Vegas in like a depth third line or maybe even second line role on a rookie contract, then that just gives you that much more depth, and they're on very, very team friendly and small contracts to still give you a little bit of flexibility there. So I love the moves that Vegas did this offseason. They had to re-sign William Karlsson. Obviously they do have a lot of good forwards there, so that's kind of where their money is wrapped up at, but I like the moves. I like how they unloaded some cap and brought in guys like a Brandon Pirri on a league minimum contract. I just think overall George McPhee did a really good job with this team, and they definitely should be pretty exciting to watch next year with some new guys, filling out the depth of the roster. So it should be pretty interesting to see how that plays out, but I definitely think Brandon Pirri was a very, very smart move and could potentially look like a steal when we look back at this contract at the end of next season. Now, finishing off the video with Wayne Simmonds signing with the New Jersey Devils on a 1-year, $5 million contract, and I know $5 million is kind of steep for a guy who only had 30 points last season, but the reason why I say this could be a potential steal for them is because it is only a 1-year deal, and this is a guy who everyone knows can be a 20 and maybe even a 30 goal scorer and is a power play specialist. When you factor that in with like the fact that he's going to be playing with very talented guys on that power play in New Jersey, I think he is going to rack up a good amount of points next season, and you never know if things don't work out and New Jersey, doesn't want to keep him around. He's an expiring contract, and you can kind of give him away as a rental at the trade deadline and maybe get some assets and some draft picks in return. So that is why I just really like this move. I think it's low risk. I really like the moves that New Jersey made this offseason offseason acquiring PK Subban and obviously getting Jack Hughes at the draft, and I think that is going to entice Taylor Hall to kind of want to come back, because this is a team that is trying to win, trying to compete, and I definitely think they will be in a good position to do so next season. It's going to be interesting because I feel like a lot of the teams that, didn't make the playoffs this year are getting a lot better, and, could potentially be teams that squeak in, but I'm just curious to see what teams fall out of the playoffs. I'm very excited already for next NHL season to start. Obviously, we have a long ways to go, but we are getting, a lot to talk about with all of these really good players moving teams. But I'm just a big fan of this contract. I think even if it doesn't work out, like I said, they're going to be able to easily flip it at the deadline. So I think New Jersey fans should be pretty happy about this, because it's a really low risk move for a guy that can really give you some really good production. So that is going to wrap up today's video. I really hope you guys did enjoy. Make sure to let me know down in the comment section below, what are some contracts that you think could turn into, potential steals as soon as next season, and make sure to look out for tomorrow's video where I'm doing something similar, but just talking about contracts that I think some of the general managers could regret signing, as soon as next season. And like I said at the start, make sure to let me know down in the comment section if there's any contracts you want to hear my thoughts on, because I know I didn't cover them all. I just kind of made individual videos on some of the bigger signings, but over the next couple of days I will get to cover most of them. So with that being said, I hope you guys all enjoyed today's video. If you did, please make sure to drop a like on it and subscribe to the channel for daily NHL content, and I will see you guys all in the next video.